2023 is going to be a year of great change, many shifts. I can't think of any other time when we will have so many planets shifting signs, even if it's briefly, like Pluto will shift into Aquarius, and then it goes retrograde and it will go back to Capricorn. But when you look at the overall shifts and changes that are happening astrologically, I honestly can't think of any other year when we have had this much change or will have. So to begin with, Mars has been retrograde, and that in and of itself is unusual, but it happens every 2 years or so. So in mid-January, we will have Mars going direct, and then also that coincides with Mercury going direct. Now, we experience Mercury going retrograde and direct every year. This is not unusual. Mercury is close to the Earth, and we're used to dealing with Mercury retrograde. Retrograde motion simply means we're turning that energy within us. It's encouraging us to be more introspective rather than taking action and starting something new. Anyway, the first couple of weeks in January, we will still be in the retrograde energy of Mercury and Mars, and we'll be in the shadow even after they go direct for a time. Nevertheless, by mid-January, we will be feeling the movement forward again, and this is when we're going to feel the new year actually kicking in. Now, I didn't list it here, but in February, there will be another very interesting astrological event, at least for the United States. And that is that the current nodes, which are moving backward, the nodes always move in retrograde motion. They are moving back to 6 degrees in Scorpio and Taurus. What this means for the United States is that it will be forming an exact grand cross, a fixed cross in the sky, because the United States nodes are in 6 degrees Aquarius and 6 degrees Leo. So this is going to be a turning point of some sort. We can expect tension, yes, because squares do cause tension, but they also cause us to awaken, to be aware of change that is coming about from external events. When we get to March, we have Saturn entering Pisces on March 7. Then we have Pluto entering Aquarius on March 23rd and Mars entering Cancer on March 25th. We have the eclipses next, April 20th and May 5th. Eclipses always accelerate change. Then we have Jupiter changing signs, moving into Taurus mid-May. After that, we have Sedna, the furthest planet from Earth, making its shift into Gemini mid-June. That in and of itself is what I consider to be galactic. Finally, we have the nodes shifting signs from Scorpio Taurus to Libra Aries. So all in all, I would say 2023 will be a momentous year, one that we will remember for quite some time. So let's break it down. I decided that in this video, I'm just going to be addressing the planets that shift signs this year. And hopefully I will be back with another video to talk about the eclipses and the shift of the nodes in July. But I didn't want to make this video too long, and I want to just touch upon the highlights. The planets shifting signs are enough to address in this video. So we're going to begin with Saturn moving into Pisces on March 7th. So Saturn in Pisces, when we put them together, Saturn representing structure, responsibilities, and limitations that we feel. Think of the rings around Saturn, and its energy shows up in our life as confining at first. But its vibrational impulse is to concentrate our energy and efforts inward so that we can, through time, maturity, and experience, we can learn to become our own masters. This planet's energy is really about teaching us to be our own inner authority rather than having outside authority bear down upon us. That's what makes us feel weighed down and like we have too much responsibility. But when we begin to take responsibility for our own life and the choices we make, we become the CEO of our own life, the master of our own destiny. That is when Saturn begins to give us the rewards for the energy. So with Saturn in Pisces, this is about restricting energies that will then hopefully inspire us to transform Piscean energy. So what is Piscean energy? This is where we are confronting our own illusions, where we have been deceived or have deceived ourselves in some way. It is about hypersensitivity to our environment, where we are basically being moved by the waves of other people's emotions rather than setting up structure and boundary. So you can see actually Saturn in Pisces could be a good thing. It could help us set up healthy boundaries for our own emotions, sensitivity, mystical proclivities. Now, I can't ignore the fact that Pisces also does often, the low vibration of it, does often mean addictions, either addictions to escaping reality in one way or another, either by substance abuse, by retreating to the mountains and not wanting to have anything to do with life on Earth. So when the planet having to do with confronting reality meets up with a sign of Pisces, expressing itself through a sign that wants to escape reality, there is contradiction, obviously, and conflict. We're going to have to learn to master these energies. So what is the best result? I view this, the best result of Saturn in Pisces is learning to master our own emotions. And I should have put mastering addictions as well. Basically, the addiction to want to escape. We will have to learn to give structure to our spiritual ideals rather than having outside authorities bear down upon us and mandate certain structures with regard to our own spiritual views and how we choose to connect with the supernatural force we consider to be God's source, the source of all life force energy. Saturn in Pisces can also bring about careers that provide spiritual service, actual spiritual leaders and teachers. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, hidden motives, and the shadow. Pluto's ultimate job is about annihilating the ego attachments. So the little self that needs certain things in order to feel important, when Pluto comes along, it will annihilate those things. And this is simply to bring about a more pure expression of the soul, to allow the soul essence to shine through. So the vibrational impulse for Pluto is regeneration, rebirth, and it is all about learning the correct use of power. It's about feeling empowered from those vulnerable places within us that we consider to be the shadow, actually turning them into our strengths, not by having power over other people or situations and trying to control external situations so that we can feel safe. It's exactly the opposite. It's confronting our own vulnerabilities and being able to turn them over to spirit, to source, and trusting the unknown to guide us to what is best for us and those around us. In Aquarius, Pluto is going to be addressing power struggles within groups, within humanity. It will be stirring up passion, but actually you could view Pluto in Aquarius as power to humanity rather than Pluto in Capricorn, which was all about overbearing power that was used to keep people under control. And I believe that Pluto in Aquarius is going to be an entirely different story. Now, I realize it will only be in Aquarius for a short while before it goes retrograde into Capricorn again. So we're going to get a taste of power to the people for a little bit before perhaps old structures will try to gain control again. We'll have to see how this plays out, but the more that we as humans are aware of where our true source of power really lies, then we will not have to go through the same external limitations that we have had to go through since 2020. Anyway, Aquarius is all about humanity, groups, social causes. It's about our future hopes and wishes. It does represent science and technology and even sci-fi experiences. It rules eccentric beings, and that even governs ETs. The low vibration of Aquarius is cold, detached, inhumane, and can be intellectual snobs. But the high vibration of Aquarius is humanitarian efforts, being concerned with social justice for all creatures, humans and animals. But it is concerned with social justice and really getting to the truth of the matter. The best result of Pluto in Aquarius is power given to those whose motives are truly to serve humanity, to work towards social justice, and the rebirth of our human family. Mars in Cancer is combining the yang force of masculine assertion, ambition, and the desire to create something. So we're combining that vibrational impulse to take action, to make something happen, with the more yin expression of Cancer, the feminine, nurturing, protective womb space, representing home and family, ancestral roots, and emotional bonds and emotional connection. The low vibration of Cancer can be moody, resentful, or unable to let go of the past. It's always reflecting on the past and unable to just stay in the present moment. The high vibration of Cancer is very psychic, empathic, demonstrating compassionate caring, and obviously very nurturing in that capacity. Cancer expresses itself through a concern for our family roots, ancestral roots, and is interested in history. The best result when combining Mars with Cancer, as Mars and the vibrational impulse of Mars expressing itself through the sign of Cancer, would be taking action toward caring, compassionate, emotional connections, repairing divisions within family or the family unit, repairing divisions within our homeland, within whatever we consider to be our home. And Cancer is also about protecting the vulnerable. Mars is the natural warrior and protector, so Mars in Cancer is going to be concerned with protecting the vulnerable. Next, we have Jupiter in Taurus, which happens on May 16th. Jupiter is a planet that expands what it touches. It shines a magnifying glass on whatever it is connecting with. It increases what it is connecting to. It brings opportunities, abundance. It teaches something new, a higher perspective. It inspires faith and optimism. Its vibrational impulse is, in fact, to have faith and optimism. Taurus is the sign that is concerned with material and physical resources, our personal values, resources, the economy, environment, beauty, and peace. If you've been listening to my other videos, you've heard me say North Node in Taurus is about peace and prosperity. The low vibration of Taurus can be quite stubborn, bullheaded, the bull in its own pasture, digging its heels in, not wanting to change. It can become obsessive with its experience, like doesn't want to change anything about what it has going on right now in its life. And of course, the opposite of that is Scorpio, which is nothing but change. As soon as a Scorpio gets comfortable with solid ground, well, Pluto comes along and says, sorry, we're going to have another death and rebirth experience. So Taurus and Scorpio, opposite each other, are all about elimination with the Scorpio experience and acquisition, acquiring things, which is what Taurus is about. With Jupiter in Taurus, this does bode well for acquiring great wealth, for expanding our peace and prosperity and our faith and optimism that we actually can reach that North Node destiny of peace and prosperity. So with Sedna in Gemini, June 15th, this is going to be quite a shift that will be felt on the collective. The lesson Sedna brings about really is about the law of reciprocity, whereas Saturn's law might be viewed as outside authority telling us how to behave and what laws to follow. Sedna's laws are written from within and they're discovered from within. So it's only through our actions that we can learn how we may have caused suffering in the greater world. And that comes back to us. And so Sedna requires of us to recognize that connection, to do the inner work, and that is when we prosper. Sedna has brought about shamanic initiations. There is suffering that takes place with Sedna until we are doing the work and actually becoming our own shaman, soul retrievers, and doing the inner work so that the entire collective can then benefit. With Sedna having been in Taurus, we've seen a lot of economic suffering. There's no question about it. And we have had to deal with a lot of trauma within our environment. I mean, the earth itself has had to withstand a lot of violence. Sedna in Gemini could bring about the suffering of certain minds. I mean, it may literally blow people's minds because the low vibration of Gemini is seeing things in black and white only, being short-sighted, quick to judge because we do only see things in black and white. I mean, this is a planet with an orbit of 10 to 12,000 years. So the last time it was in our solar system was at the end of the Ice Age. And this was the time when Atlantis met with its demise. The waters rose. And Sedna does encompass myths and legends. I believe that Sedna's return is blowing the lid off of what we have been told is true for so very long and is actually very false. It's going to be turning history on its head. And, Atlantis met with its demise because there were those who put science and technology above the environment, above living in harmony with all other beings. So this, I don't believe that Sedna is going to bring catastrophe to us as a civilization as long as we get the message. And Sedna's message is about serving humanity, about recognizing the sacredness of all life, about recognizing that the spirit, the source of all life, dwells within all creatures, and that we cannot abuse life in any way. If we do, then the prosperity that is naturally occurring in our environment will be withheld from us. The word mythos originally meant records of the ancient people. It was later redefined by the church, which held the law over the land, and the church redefined that word to mean stories veering far from any truthfulness. And we are going to be learning that so many things we were taught to believe were myths and legends are in fact real and could be describing astronomical events. These are the questions that I feel we will be exploring when Sedna enters Gemini. The high vibration of Gemini is highly curious, inquisitive, adaptable, and funny. So with Sedna coming into Gemini, and Sedna representing the planet that is furthest from the Earth, I really feel like this is going to be an energy that stretches the human mind well beyond the confines of our solar system. But there is also that component of having to do the inner work, cultivating the resources that we have within us, which are in fact spiritual. And it is the spiritual resources that create our material prosperity. And the more that we as individuals do this work, the greater reward we will see throughout our entire planet, throughout our entire civilization. So I hope that you've enjoyed this series on the galactic winter solstice we are in right now. And as the energies unfold throughout the eclipses, summer solstice, and the shifting of the nodes, in addition to what I've covered here, I will be back to discuss in more detail what those energies might mean for us. Please do comment and let me know how this has resonated with you. And if you like this material, just let me know in the comments so that I can kind of tailor what I bring forward as 2023 unfolds. And until I am back again, wishing you all the best, this is Jennifer. Thanks for tuning in.